Hey ladies, happy Friday. It is Friday night and I've been meaning to come on here all week to address some of your frequently asked questions. So it's late. I am finally getting a chance to do my own steam this week. And so I said, let me just multitask and get in here with y'all. So welcome to the page. I know I've had a lot of new followers over this past week, so thank you for following. A lot of you have been in the DMs with lots of questions about Yoni steaming, what it's good for, where we're located, things like that. So a lot of questions are repetitive, and although we've posted about it earlier in the page, I thought it was good to just come on here and just bring it to the top of the page again, some of the popular questions. So first, I want to start off with the most common question that I get at least once a month. Somebody reaches out with this, but often lately it's on a weekly basis. And it is, what do I think about the Yoni Pearls? Do I carry the Yoni Pearls? Do I know where you can get the Yoni Pearls? So as I've said, and I think we posted earlier this week, I personally do not recommend using the Yoni Pearls to detox or purge or heal or treat any sort of infection or issues with menstruation or anything like that, or especially fertility. So as far as the effectiveness goes for the pearls, what they contain is the same type of herbs that we're using for the hydrotherapy, Yoni steaming. So my concern with the pearls is that it's a lot more invasive, number one. So you're coming in direct contact with the gauze. Hopefully it's like an organic cotton. It may or may not be. And the herbs, you may or may not be aware of a sensitivity that you could have, an allergic reaction that you could have. You could be good with herbs normally, but having them, again, that invasive direct contact, you could become, find yourself to be a sensitive user. I think my biggest issue with the Yoni Pearls is how long you're instructed to leave it in there. So if you check different YouTubers, they'll talk about the package saying to leave it in for like 72 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours, different recommendations, maybe for different issues possibly. But the bottom line is it is a rather long period of time. And if you think about tampon use or menstrual cup, both of those have warnings not to leave it in longer than, some say 8, some say 12 hours max. I know the cup says 12 hours. And you risk the toxic shock syndrome if you do leave it in longer periods of time. So those are products that you leave in for, let's say, short, long term in comparison to something like the IUD. Now, the IUD, I know for a fact, a lot of women come in with chronic yeast infections or BV breakouts because of the use of the IUD, or they notice it has, it started happening nonstop since they got the IUD in. So this is what prolonged use of something, a foreign object up in there, can cause. There's a lot of discrepancy and controversy in the healing community about what the pearls are really doing. If you are healing your body of the growth that comes out, or you actually created that yeast and you're just pulling out the issue you created in the last 72 hours. So with that type of controversy and the fact that you can be sensitive to it, I think it's invasive. I think it's too long. Nothing should be in there for long periods of time. I have concerns with all that, so I was never going to carry the product for you guys, no matter how much you guys asked. From the time I started, I was not willing or interested. And the fact that Yoni steaming gives you the same benefits that are suggested with the pearls, I just feel like the steaming is a lot less invasive, relaxing. It's been proven. And so that's all I'm comfortable with. So I do not carry the pearls. I will not carry the pearls. I honestly don't even have a place to redirect you here in Canada, because there was a popular place out of the US that most people were getting it from. And they ended up getting banned and having to remove Canada from their shipping options on their website. So I don't know where you're getting them now, but it's not Yoni Spa. So for the record, we do not carry the Yoni Pearls. And to follow up to that, we do have the Yoni Tea. So that is for people who are not able to come in or they want to steam more often. You can get the Yoni Tea to steam at home. So that is available on the website, but it is not set up in a way where one size fits all. So when you come in for a Yoni steaming appointment here at the spa, the day before your appointment, you'll get an email and it'll include an intake form. So everybody that comes in fills out the intake form. I'm going to ask you a lot of questions about your menstrual cycle, if you have one, what it's like, if you have any problems or challenges with your reproductive system, everything like that. And based on the results of your form, I will determine the appropriate herbal blend for your appointment. So this is why it is important that you fill out the intake form. This is why I ask so many questions. This is why when you go to the website, you're not selecting a specific herbal blend. You're simply ordering Yoni Tea, and then it'll be followed up with an email from me asking you more clarifying questions, okay? So that I know what to send you. So basically you're getting like a personalized purchase, even though you're not coming in. It's really just as personalized as if you were coming into the spa. So if you guys came here, I'd ask you all those same questions, and then I would prepare those herbs, or I have some certain standard blends prepared now, but it does take some getting to know the end user before I select the appropriate blend. So that is the Yoni Tea. Another question that I often get asked is when is the best time to steam? So I would say my preferred time is right after my period, but the only wrong time is when you're menstruating, or if you're pregnant, you're not going to want to steam. It can open up the cervix and put you into premature labor. If you are on your period and you want to steam because it gets rid of the cramps, not safe to do so because it could cause hemorrhaging. So instead, if you find yourself having painful menstruation, and let's say you haven't done a series of steaming sessions to improve your cycle yet, you can have a herbal bath. So you can sit, or you can have the herbs in the water in your bath, or attach it to the faucet, something like that, a steam bath in that way. But you don't want to sit over direct heat while you're menstruating, because the heat is just gonna stimulate the area too much and aggravate circulation, and you don't want that when you're already bleeding. So for that reason, I recommend doing it before or after your period. If you were steaming and you were trying to conceive, then you want to steam after your period, but before ovulation. So like right after your period, as soon as it finishes, because you could be someone who ovulates early and not on day 14 or 15, like the textbook says. So for that reason, it's very strategic and intentional when you steam in the case of trying to conceive naturally. So other than that, anybody else can steam any time of the month that is convenient for them, as long as they're not menstruating and you're not pregnant. But I prefer to do it after my period. It just makes you feel like really fresh and clean and gets rid of any leftover residue. If there's anything, I don't have like spotting afterwards, but if you do, it's gonna like make that day the very last day of any of that. So that covers the when you can steam. Sometimes people will ask who can steam. If you've ever had a menstrual cycle, it's safe for you to steam. My daughter, she's only 8 years old, but she sees me steaming all the time. So anytime her stomach's upset or her head hurts, she wants to steam. So she believes it's the answer for everything. But I don't use herbs. I just let her sit over some warm water. But as far as women wanting to get into steaming, I highly recommend you encourage your young daughters who have painful periods or irregular periods to try yoni steaming to fix something like that. Because if it goes on too long and you go to a doctor about it, they're likely going to want to put her on hormonal birth control. And if you haven't been on my page long, I'm very vocal about the adverse effect of prolonged use of hormonal birth control. Excuse me, I'm very much against it. I believe it's the underlying issue and cause of the struggle with fertility that women are faced with, especially women of color. The irregular growth that we deal with, fibroids, PCOS, all those challenges. Of course, it's lifestyle and diet, but really hormonal birth control is a lifestyle drug. It's something that is, used when you have a perfectly good working operating system, and then you introduce this medication and it throws it off. So when you go on the birth control pill, you're no longer ovulating, so you're not having a real period. It's, a simulation. And later, after you use that for 10 to 15 years, and then you come off of it, your ovulation doesn't just pick up right away. So it's not like a light switch, unfortunately. Instead, I strongly recommend the fertility awareness method. So charting your cycle, being aware of the signs of your ovulation, and working within that cycle. So if you need more information on that, I can definitely support with that. I am a doula, so I work with ladies who are trying to conceive naturally, but if you're trying to abstain from being pregnant, then I can also support you in that as well. And I also highly recommend the book that's available on my website, which is The Fifth Vital Sign, written by Lisa Hendrickson-Jack. She's also from here in Canada, Toronto, and she has an amazing podcast called Fertility Fridays, and she talks a lot about all of that, the harms of hormonal birth control, prolonged use of it, and things like that. Hey ladies, welcome. So I'm just going over some frequently asked questions. We touched on the pearls, buying the tea to steam at home, when to steam, who can steam. I also have mature clients who come in who no longer have a period. Still very enjoyable experience for them. Steaming is known to be helpful for things like vaginal dryness, low libido, poor blood circulation. So a lot of my senior clients will comment on the fact that their medications work better. They feel more energized after steaming just because it is helping with the blood circulation, which means their vitamins and supplements are able to digest a lot better and get into their system better. Hey, Miss Dion. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So yeah, often people are asking where we're located. So I work from home in Oshawa. That is my primary and first location. We opened a location in Scarborough, but that was temporarily closed when COVID hit. Then I had Islington location on the west side of Toronto that also went into closure during the lockdown. But we have a new location. That's where I'm tuning in from now. Probably need some lights now. So this location is in the Beaches area. It's still a location that I do like from home. So that's why the addresses are not available on the website. However, once you book your appointment, we send you all the details that you need. So the intake form being one and the address being the other. And that comes to you via email the day before your appointment. So we're just trying to keep ourselves safe and everything orderly. So that is why we give it out as needed. A fertility mix for my sister. Can you give me the list of herbs? Yeah, so definitely send me a DM. If you're local, I can definitely get that to you. If you're not, then I can probably support you over the phone or via email. So yeah, just send me a DM if you're looking for fertility support. For someone else, I'll just probably need some background on like what the challenges are and if they've been diagnosed with anything specific. So I'm trying to think if there's any other questions. I feel like I touched on everything that I see most common. Sometimes people ask like, why steam? What are the benefits? Of course, we have them listed on the site and we always feature different client stories, but steaming can help with your menstruation if it's painful, if it's irregular, if it's missing, if it's too short, if it's too long. This is why I ask so many questions in the intake form. Again, it helps with circulation. So people have stood up from steaming and commented on like back pain disappearing and, knee pain disappearing, and they're surprised. It is therapeutic, like going in the sauna or the hot tub. So, it's honestly, the benefits are endless. I was introduced to steaming because of my own struggle with fibroids. But now, I don't have fibroids, but I do it because I have a nice pain-free period that's 4 days long. You don't feel it coming. It just comes and it goes and that's it. So that's what I love. Can you help me understand some of the reasons a woman can have reoccurring BV? Also, is there a herbal solution via steaming that can help? Yeah, so BV, it can be associated with different things. One, as I mentioned earlier, the IUD. Most women who have chronic BV will mention having something in like the IUD, which is a form of birth control that is like it can be a copper T or it could be a hormonal one. And they put it up inside the vagina and it stays there for 2 to 5 years before they change it. And so that's a foreign object up inside the body, and then it just doesn't mix well with your body's natural, pH. And so it throws it off. So you can have chronic BV outbreaks. BV, the symptoms of that is typically having like a fishy smell, an odor that you don't like, things like that. So steaming can definitely help with that. The IUD, it could be your partner. Sometimes your partner can throw off your pH. We actually posted probably like somewhat of a viral video of a man breaking it down how men can throw off a woman's pH. And so one is like it, not necessarily that they're dirty, but it could be that they're just off that time. So if you guys don't like shower before intimacy, that could be an issue. If he didn't shower, oral hygiene, if it's oral intimacy, if you take your panties off and they touch the floor or they touch something and then you put them back on, that's, cross-contamination. Like, you wouldn't sit directly on the floor, so you shouldn't put those panties back on. If you have a lot of dairy in your diet, that can throw off your pH as well. It's getting hella dark. I don't know if you guys are getting scared. So that can throw off your pH too. Diet, his hygiene, the IUD. Yeah, those I would say are the common things that I've advised women to, check on, try changing. I know that can contribute to those sorts of breakouts. Can transfer BV from one person to another easily. I mean, it's not an STD, but it really just means your pH is off. And it makes sense that if he's with multiple partners, then he could be carrying something to you, right? So, or, her juices mixed with your juices is just not getting on right. Because him alone, like, you can have somebody who doesn't have multiple partners, but your guys' chemistry is just not right. And so that can throw it off too. So yeah, it's just something you have to watch for. I've definitely worked with like married couples who have mentioned, sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't. And again, that's why I say, like, if you didn't bathe before getting to bed, if something pops off like more spontaneously, then that can end up throwing it off. Yeah, that's why intimate wipes are important. Wipe often. You can contaminate the area from wiping back to front, not changing your panties often enough. If you feel damp in the daytime, change them. Wear liners, change the liners often. Anything that's getting the area damp or leaving the area damp can lead to an infection or a BV breakout. So that's why even non-sexually active young girls can get BV breakouts, especially if they are like athletic, physically active. So they talk about not leaving your wet bathing suit on for a long period of time, like after you're out of the water. And that's where that caution comes from, is that you're having your intimate area damp for a long period of time, and it's not good. So infection likes to like breed in that kind of environment. So keep it dry. Can BV be treated with steaming? Yeah, we've definitely done that. So I would say that is one of the more immediate benefits that people experience. They talk about, going home and within 24 hours, the infection is gone, or the odor is gone, or they've had an odor-free period. So yeah, we can definitely do that. We have a lot of deodorizing herbs that we keep in each blend. So a lot of times there's a bigger issue that we're dealing with, but there's always something in there that can help them. So we ask those questions in the intake form as well. So honestly, when you're doing your intake form, it's the time to be honest and vulnerable, because it's better you get it out now and we can deal with it and address it head on, so that you're not walking with that shame or that pain or that struggle on your own. And trust me, we've all been there. We've all had BV at some point. Yeast infections, UTIs, they're very common. I would say 80% of my clients come in with something like that. How often? Yeah, so that's another question I get a lot, oftentimes at the first appointment. So I recommend steaming on a monthly basis, typically every 3 weeks, just avoiding your period week. Although some clients will actually come in for a weekly basis because they have a bit more aggressive goals. So it could be trying to fix the womb from previous trauma, or shrink fibroids, recovering from PCOS, something like that. So it depends, but most people will come in on a monthly basis every 3 weeks. And that's how you maintain the benefits, right? So your period comes once a month. There's a whole lot of things from month to month that's impacting the period, and the steaming just helps to keep it on track. Just like any sort of therapy or improvement to your body, like going to the gym, it's all about consistency. A lot of, I would say my fertility clients, I had somebody I worked with for like almost 2 years. And then she went on to conceive naturally, and she didn't have to use IVF or anything like that. So it's the consistency really, and that's how you maintain the benefits. All the issues that we created or we're now dealing with, it's a result of what we've been doing for our entire lives, right? For 20, 30, sometimes 40 years. So it's not something that can be fixed overnight. It's not just gonna take, 1, 2, 3 visits, but it's the consistency. Just like I said, going to the gym or something like that. And then there's other things you can do as well to help in your progress. So that's why I feature other pages like Melanated Vegan, who is an amazing vegan chef. She offers meal prep for people who are too busy to maintain that for themselves. Using organic pads, tampons, liners, or menstrual cup is amazing. I've had clients who came to me for the first time, but they told me that they started using organic pads the month before, and they noticed a huge difference in their cycle. So using organic pads and stuff like that is extremely important, because the ones that are not organic are full of a lot of toxins, a lot of fillers, and you have that right next to your skin, right? Your most intimate area. And this is why, again, we have painful menstruation, a lot of clotting, things like that. It's just not good, right? The toxins in plastic is really not good for our skin or good for our system. And so that's another lifestyle change that can be very impactful. So your diet, you reduce or eliminating dairy. Everyone is talking about plant-based right now. It can be very supportive and effective. Dairy is full of a lot of mucus, and that's a lot of buildup in the body that we don't need. Increasing your water consumption. I had a client who thought she was drinking a lot of water, but she increased it. She saw amazing difference in her cycle, and she also ended up going on to conceive. I was working with her on fertility as well. So increasing your water consumption, make sure you're getting proper whole foods. You should especially be eating whole foods around your period time. Our body's made up of cells, and our cells are constantly like recreating themselves, but they're feeding off of the nutrition or lack of nutrition that we put in our bodies. So unlike a lot of us here are in, the Western culture, and we need food and we need it fast. And if you're eating drive-through food, that's not even real food. Like, they've literally put it on display for months at a time, and it just didn't degrade like it should. And so if you can't maintain it through the rest of the month, at least while you're on your period, and preferably the week before your period, you want to be disciplined in getting whole foods into your system. If it's really hard for your work schedule to prepare real meals, You can do what I did. I pay other people to make whole food for me, and I order it like a catered size as if I was having like a party, and then I break it down into smaller containers and I freeze it. And so I just pull that from the freezer. It's like a TV dinner, but whole food. And that's how I feed my family. So feeding them proper whole foods, but I didn't slave all day to make it. So it's stew beans, it's stew greens, all kinds of really tasty stuff. So whole foods, organic pads, lots of water, Yoni steaming, your vitamins and supplements, because even if we are having whole foods, it's not always enough for what we should have, especially like the snacks in between, the types of fruits and vegetables that we're getting here in Western culture. So your vitamins and supplements, I absolutely love, and I've told a lot of you guys about taking sea moss. It doesn't really have a taste, but it's so rich in vitamins and minerals. So I just throw it in my smoothie in the morning, and that's how I know I'm like getting lots of nutrition, because the smoothie itself has berries and ginger and beets and hemp seeds and chia seeds, and then I'm throwing in like a teaspoon or a tablespoon of sea moss, kefir. That's a great probiotic. It's good for your gut health. So that's what I put in my smoothie. I strongly recommend the sea moss. I've had a lot of clients come back and tell me how much their periods have improved since going on that. So you need a good vitamin supplement, and instead of taking like a woman's multivitamin, sea moss is amazing. It's just a perfect supplement. It's good for the whole family. I sneak it in my son's oatmeal. I have a client who puts it in her coffee. She takes her coffee black. I don't really trust the coffee thing because I don't think it like melts, but she says it disappears enough that she can consume it. But yeah, I love throwing it in my smoothie. It's a great way to get it. So you typically, I get it dry and then I make a gel with it, and that's I think the best way to consume it. Where to get it? So I can link someone in the bottom. I think you're in Durham. I've been constantly being asked to carry it, so I'm thinking I'm going to because I'm always sending you guys people. There's a couple pages. Most people are always in the West End, so that's why I think it's important that I probably bring it to the East. But yeah, I will get you the link because I can't remember the exact name right now. Somebody asked how much is a session. So if you come into the spa, it's $65. And if you book a mobile appointment where I come to you, it's sort of dependent on where you're located. So Durham region is $90. Toronto is $100. Peel region is $200. You can add additional guests to a mobile appointment for only $55 each. So if you add your friends to it and turn it into a pamper party, then you guys can just, split the price evenly amongst you, and it could come down to the same 60. So that's how mobile works. Mobile appointments have to be paid in advance. I don't want to be on your doorstep finding out that you forgot and you're not home. So that's just how we have to do that. So yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any other lifestyle things, hacks that I'm always sharing with you guys. Diet is huge. Exercise is, of course, important. We can't overlook that. I was working with a trainer last year. I was sharing some of that on my personal page. I really like that. This year, I decided I want to do some dance aerobics to stay more active, and I'm also gonna get a bicycle. So, yeah, watch for that. If you guys follow my personal page, I'll probably be showing some highlights of that. There's also some great personal trainers around. One of my clients is a stretch therapist, and she helps people with, working out and stretching, staying active. There's Rasta Fit. He's based out of Markham. There's Sweat to Something, Sweet to Sweat. I'll try to tag her below. I've heard a lot of great things about her. There's Candy Apple, who is based in Brampton. She's done some amazing things. Who else? There's one of my clients is doing Julie Black's step something. And she's like transforming before my eyes. So that's working for her. So I highly recommend getting active with something. Just find something. I'm putting together a little dance accountability group to try to keep myself on task, but that can also be very helpful. A client came by yesterday and she walked here. It was almost a 40-minute walk. She said when she left, she had some cramping, but once she started walking, it actually went away. She is a big believer in the cup. I got her using the cup and she loves it. And with the steaming, she's now able to continue going for walks. She likes going on long 5K walks, but she typically doesn't do it when she's on her period. But between switching to the cup, organic pads, and steaming, she's not left in the bed on her period. So I always tell people your period is not supposed to be something that has you on bed rest. So if that's what it is and it's affecting your quality of life, we can help with that, right? That's not nice. That's not enjoyable. So you don't have to be on bed rest. You don't have to be stuck on painkillers. There's more life for you to enjoy. So definitely send me a DM if you have those sorts of concerns or challenges, because we don't want you struggling with your periods, sis. It's not supposed to be that challenging. But yeah, those are the common frequently asked questions that I get in my DMs on a regular basis or in my emails. If you know the challenges that you have by name, endometriosis, PCOS, something like that, then just let me know exactly, what symptoms you're dealing with, and we'll address those specifically. I also will, refer you to other specialists that I feel would make sense for you. Sometimes a pelvic physiotherapist can be helpful with different challenges that women can have, or an acupuncturist if you have extremely heavy flow, or you just always have a flow, it's way more than just your period. I may recommend seeing an acupuncturist or Chinese medicine doctor. So there's more tools to this holistic healing practice than just yoni steaming. Okay, so one, it's not massive surgery, so it's not a one and done sort of thing. And two, it's one tool in the toolkit. So there's a lot that we can do, and a nutritionist or physiotherapist or something like that can be very helpful. So once you let me know what your challenge is, I'll reference somebody that I've worked with in the past or something like that, and what I would recommend. So I'm not a doctor, but I've been doing this for a little while now, so I've seen a lot. I have doctors that come to me for the service, and nurses and practitioners and things like that. So I have a pretty good network of health professionals that are used to seeing the kinds of things that we see on a regular basis with women. So unfortunately, women of color and Black women are disproportionately affected by a lot of reproductive health issues, and there isn't often a lot of research, medical research documented, or education from the medical professionals, I find, on why it's happening, why fibroids is so rampant in the Black community. where it comes from and things like that. So what we're left with is, depending on more dependency on like what our ancestors did to deal with these sort of challenges. And I wouldn't even say fibroids specifically, because I think that is more of a modern day concern, at least how rampant it is. But what they did to heal themselves and to treat different issues and challenges is take what they had available to them. So some bush, some trees, some plants, some leaf, they would take that and they would do the best that they could with it. So that's all we're doing now. It's effective, it's proven. That's why we constantly feature our clients' stories. We used to bring them on and have them share. But, with the exception of fertility stories, not necessarily everybody wants to, come and put their business on blast, that they had this challenge and they were able to fix it. But luckily enough, we do have them, texting in, and we can just make their posts sort of anonymous or only put their like initials so that you guys can see that it is real women with real results, without featuring their full face and testimony. But we will get back to sharing client stories. I'm getting ready to do a series on sharing the story of women in the medical field, whether it was a blessing or a challenging, traumatic time, but we want to feature those stories and bring attention to them. So if you scroll down, we featured a couple different articles on the challenge that women of color, specifically Black women, sometimes face in medical environments, not being heard, not being listened to, and the effect that has, the high mortality rate and things like that. So we want to draw attention, bring attention to it. And so we are going to have some women share their story to bring awareness to that. So that is what is to come. If you guys have any more specific questions, go ahead and drop them below. I will definitely come back and do this again. I don't know next week, but we'll definitely do something again to address your questions and concerns. So leave them below. If you'd like to be a part of the Her Story series that we're working on, then please do send me a DM. I'd love to feature you and share so we can enlighten other people. And for those of you who are expecting, always make sure you keep me up to date with your address. We love to send surprises and gifts in the mail. So we need to fix our intake form so we actually have that on file. But this month is also Breastfeeding Awareness Month. Any of you who've been in here as a fertility client or a postpartum client, you know that I am a strong believer that the breast is best. You should breastfeed it for as long as you can. I personally believe in exclusive breastfeeding. When I say exclusive breastfeeding, I just mean breast milk. So pumping it off so that, dad can help or grandparents can help is amazing too. I was going to school when I had my first child, so I would pump at school, pump at home. I would pump all the time. So we'd have a freezer full of breast milk in Niagara where I was going to school, and back in Toronto with my family. So if I was home for the weekend and I left my baby, there was milk. And if I was in school, there was milk. And I would nurse her when I had her with me. So I am a big believer in breastfeeding and providing breast milk. So I'd love to hear your stories, questions or concerns around that too. If you're having trouble with it, concerns about it. I'm not sure about the stats here in Canada, but I have read things on the states where Black women is the smallest minority group to breastfeed in the US, which is crazy because we were we were the original ones to be breastfeeding not only our own but others. So it's crazy that we've lost something so sacred and so special for the family. So I would definitely love to bring attention to that. We're going to be featuring that on the page this month. Also, south of the border, they're celebrating Yoni Steaming Awareness Month. Funny enough, I think it's the second year. So we are always celebrating that here. I always said that if we had an awareness day up here, I think it should be in March. The person that shared Yoni Steaming and the benefits with me is born in March. So I'd like to honor them with that special day then. Because of that thing, because he shared it with me, I've been able to help so many women internationally now. So that's amazing. And women getting certified to be able to help people in their communities, all because of the seed that he planted. So I'm really grateful for that. Always want to acknowledge and bring attention to, the benefits of steaming and the fact that it is something that our ancestors has done for centuries. So that's what I always will be sharing here on the page. But because there was so many new followers, so many questions coming in, I just wanted to quickly jump on here and share with you guys. But now I gotta get ready for tomorrow. So I'm signing out. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and drop your questions in the comments and I'll definitely get to them. If you have something more specific and private, you can go ahead and send me a DM as well. If you'd like to book an appointment, you can click the book now button in our bio or go to yonispa.ca. You can book an appointment or you can buy the Yoni Tea to steam at home. So that's it, ladies. I'll try to get on here more often and we have a couple guests lined up. So stay tuned, watch the page, turn on your notifications, and we'll see you back here later. Bye, guys.